All right there, YouTube. Welcome back to the channel. Another video on Old Red, our project 1983 Peterbilt 359. In today's video, we're going to be putting in a set of fuel injectors. Back when I got this truck, this thing used to just dump fuel out the exhaust like crazy. This thing would smoke an entire field for mosquitoes. Now it was a lot better after I run the overhead on it, but I still kind of feel like there might be one or two injectors that maybe it doesn't have a great spray pattern or something. There's a very slight hint of a miss at idle. You know, these injectors for the big cam Cummins are really fairly inexpensive. I think these were right around $100 a piece, somewhere in that neighborhood. So I think for the 600 and something bucks I'm gonna spend to put a set of injectors in this, money well spent. So that's what we're gonna do today. All right, so in order to change the injectors, we're gonna have to take all the valve train back off the engine again. So I'm gonna take
how to cry. Dark clouds how to cover up a clear blue sky. Tears of cry for that woman, gonna flood you, big river. Gonna sit right here until I die. Well, I met her accidentally in St. Paul, Minnesota. She tore me up every time I heard her drawl that southern drawl. Well, I heard my dream and went downstream. Down and forth, I follow you, big river, when you call. Well, I talk that weeping willow, how to cry. Talk the clouds, how to cover up.
Okay, so we got all of our valve train stuff off. It came apparent fairly quickly that we weren't going to be putting this back together same day like I had really planned. I figured this would be a one-day thing, throw a set of injectors in it, be done. However, it seems like nothing ever works out that way. You get something simple, you think, okay, this is going to be a quick deal, and then you get it apart and realize you got more parts to order. So that's kind of what happened here. You guys can probably see right here. See if I can get that to pick up a little better. But exhaust rocker on the number 4 exhaust, that's totally shot. Number 1's on its way out. The rest of them all look pretty good. There's a bit of mix match of parts here. Obviously people have changed some stuff, some parts out over the years as needed. This rocker box has a different part number on it than this rocker box. I can't actually even quite read the full part number on this one, but this was made in Japan, this was made in the USA. This one was made in the USA with a totally different part number. And these two share the same part numbers on all of the rockers. These ones are from some different castings. As far as measurements and functionality, you know, this is all the same. But anyway, I ordered 2 rocker arms. We're gonna go ahead and we're gonna take these 2 rocker boxes apart once the parts come in, and we're going to replace those 2 rockers. We're going to replace the 2 C-brake bridges here on the corresponding rockers. We've also got some intake bridges here that have some wear on them, so ordered a few of those. We're gonna get the ones that have wear replaced. It's really one of those things, how I'd really like to do it would be just to replace everything, replace all 3 rocker boxes with remans, replace all the bridges, and have everything new and just not have to worry about it. But we're looking at about $850 per rocker box for remans. Valve bridges are, I think they're $50 a piece if I remember right. So, you know, we'd be probably $5,000 into doing that by the time we're all done. These aren't really normal wear parts. These are parts that typically don't get replaced with a end frame. They're very long lasting parts. And so I think that I'm going to be just fine just to replace what's bad and move on from there. So that's what we're going to do. I went ahead and I got one of the injectors pulled out. I just wanted to check and make sure that the part number matches up with what I got. I had ordered these injectors off of the part number that came up for the CPL on this engine. And we do actually have two different part numbers, which freaked me out for a split second, but we got 3030445 on this one, and these are 3047973s. Truck has a 0531 CPL on the motor, but this is just the old part number, and these ones are a superseded part number, so that's going to be just fine. I suppose I might as well just go ahead. We'll get the rest of these injectors pulled out while we're waiting for parts to come in. Get injector bores cleaned up, and we probably just go ahead and put the new injectors in. That'll be one less thing we'll have to do once the parts come in for the rocker boxes. For the injectors, you're going to need a 5/16 12 point. And these aren't very tight. I think the torque spec on them is something like 13 or 14 foot-pounds. I'll have to double check that once it's time for this to go back together, but
I follow you, big river, when you go. Well, I talk that weeping willow, how to cry, cry, cry. Talk the clouds out of cover up a clear blue sky. Tears are cried for that woman, gonna flood you, big river. Gonna sit right here until I die.
now the injector's out. Alright, so next thing we're going to want to do is go ahead and clean up the injector bores. They actually look pretty good. There's a little bit of carbon buildup just around the end of the cup there, but otherwise they're looking pretty good. But we're getting them all cleaned up nice and clean. And alright, so we got all of our injector bores cleaned up here. Hopefully see they're nice and clean inside. I suppose we're going to go ahead and start getting some injectors put in. Alright, so we're going to take the new injectors here. We're going to put just a little bit of motor oil on the O-rings, make sure that the O-rings are all lubed up well. Going to give these just a couple light taps to seat them in here. Now when I'm installing them, I'm trying to align this inlet screen with the fuel passage that's drilled in the head. It probably really makes zero difference as this is cut out so that the fuel can flow 360 degrees around the injector, but seems like a good thing to do.
I've given up, I've had enough. Follow my blues, I'm down the Gulf. She loves you, Big River, more than me. Well, I talk that weed.
Alright, so parts have come in. Got pretty much everything ready to go here. Got my bad rocker arms replaced. Got my crossheads replaced that needed to be replaced. Wasn't too bad to change these rocker arms out. You got one Allen set screw here. Knock the two plug covers out on the end. Then you can slide the shaft out. Take the rocker arm out, put the new one in. Put it back together with some new expansion plugs, and Bob's your uncle. There you go. So anyway, now that the truck's been apart for way longer than I anticipated, start getting this thing back together.
Dark clouds had to cover up a clear blue sky. Tears are cried for that woman, gonna flood you, Big River. Gonna sit right here until I die. Gonna sit right here until I die. Gonna sit right here until I die.
Okay, so we've got all of our rocker boxes on. They're torqued down to 65 foot-pounds. And I'm just going through and I'm running all of our valve lashes, doing the overhead on it. And I'm down to the last cylinder here now. Which is cylinder number 4. I'm on timing mark C. Now last time I ran the overhead on this and I showed it on the channel, I did the inner base circle method, which in that method you're adjusting, you know, your valves on one cylinder and your injectors on a different cylinder. This time I'm doing outer base circle, which that one you're doing your injector and valves on the same cylinder at the same time. Basically the difference is inner base circle, you're adjusting your injector when it's in the fully released position. When you're doing it outer base circle, you're adjusting your injector in the all the way down position. Both ways are acceptable for a big cam Cummins. The service manual that I have says to run it inner base circle, 5 inch-pounds. You can also do it outer base circle, 72 inch-pounds. Now I'm really going to try not to get into too many details on this. You know, this could fill an entire video all by itself, but we're just going to lash this last one here, then we're get started putting the jake brakes on. Now I had all of my lash adjusters screwed way out when I was putting the rocker boxes on, so we're going to have to run these down just a little ways. Main reason for that was it makes it a lot easier to get all of your push rods on and lined up. Now we're going to go ahead and go past by about 1/8 of a turn. Basically what that does is it makes sure that any fuel left in the injector gets squirted out and doesn't affect your torque rating. And then we're back this off. Our goal is to back it off full turn here. I'm having to do little baby turns here, so whatever, just back it off however far there. Make sure it's loose. Then we're going to torque it back down to 72 inch-pounds again. Then we're going to back it off. We're going to re-torque it. And we're going to do that about 3 times. Alright, now that cylinder's lashed, you can go ahead and start putting the jake brakes on and get the jake brakes lashed in. And okay, so now my own curiosity got the better of me. And I went ahead and I ran the overhead a second time using the inner base circle method after I just set it with the outer base circle method. And valve lash spec for outer base circle, which, let's see, Grab my feeler gauges here. Okay, so if you're setting on outer base circle, which is setting the injectors in the down position, you use 27 thousandths for your exhaust. You use 14 thousandths for your intake. Now the inner base circle calls for 23 thousandths on the exhaust and 11 thousandths on the intake. If you use the right valve lash with the right method, they come out the same. The injectors come out the same. It is the same. So for this particular engine, I would probably actually recommend setting the injectors on their downstroke. To me, it seems easier and it seems more accurate. But literally, I don't think I had a single adjuster that moved more than 1/1000th of an inch setting it one way or the other. So my take on it is they are the same. Do it the way that you want to do it. So I'm going to get all these Jake housings on here, then we'll have to lash our Jake brakes. Then once our Jake brakes are lashed, we can put the valve covers on, and this is going to be done. Up here, things seem to be running about as smooth as can be here, so pretty happy with that. We'll go ahead and try to set up a couple cameras here and take it for a quick test run.